Matters have come to a head between the Western Bulldogs and their troubled forward, Jamarra Ugle-Hagan. A period of leave has been agreed upon, and it really does bring to an end the uncertainty that has surrounded this issue since the earliest days of March.
There was a narrative that he was back, but that was sort of as he continued to expose himself back into, I guess, conditioning to even talk about playing. There is still no timeline, and that's with Jamarra's best interests at heart, you know. And you know, like I said, the support aspect's number one. The football aspect is still, you know, we're not really even discussing a timeline. Like I said, I get it. I'll field the questions. We all will, but sometimes the answer is going to remain the same, I think, and until you know, he and the club feels like things are in a place where we can even consider that.
Do you think he'll play this season, Luke?
I can't answer that definitively, Jared. We're hoping, but yeah, like some of the other answers, time will tell. Yeah.
And time, I think, will tell no on this front. So there's two aspects to this. There's the club, which we'll deal with shortly, but the individual first. And there's going to be an awful lot of judgment cast on this front, and it has you thinking a little more broadly.
Yeah, no, it does. It's disappointing and sad to see it come to a head like this. Totally understand that it has, and the club has given him every opportunity to try and fall back in love with the game and the commitments. But this is, I just can't help but think this is a 23-year-old young man who is very, very good at one thing at the moment, and that is kicking and marking a football in a position that's highly sought after. So he gets thrust into this environment at 18 years of age and goes along for the ride and takes the money and has arrived now 23 years of age, and if he was too brutally honest, he'd say, I can't handle the requirements of modern-day AFL footy. And that shouldn't surprise anyone. If you naively think you're going to grab every single player who's, you know, talented and skillful at 18 years of age and thrust them into the environment that outside of our world everyone thinks is the greatest life of all, that's not going to spit a few out the other end, then you are naive. And the fact that there's only a handful that have fallen into this level, I'm not saying that, you know, other players haven't had their own challenges, is a testament to the clubs and the processes that the AFL have put in place. And I know that also attracts plenty of criticism. But this is a young man who now at 23 is realising, yeah, when you put your hand out for a big cheque and a big contract and you want to play AFL footy, it comes with scrutiny, it comes with vile abuse, constant vile abuse if you're living through the social media lens, which most 23-year-olds do. I would say get off it, but people tell me that's not realistic. You give up your privacy, you walk out, and everywhere you go someone's got a phone. All that sort of stuff is okay for a stockbroker or a young 23-year-old bloke who's not for a footballer. And he can't handle those requirements, it would appear right now. And as much as it disappoints me to see that he's now stepping away from the game, and I have worries and fears that he may not come back, it shouldn't be a surprise. Not everyone's suited to this caper. Not everyone is able to marry up the sacrifice with the cheque. And I know, you know, tomorrow we'll talk about, well, you're getting paid a lot of money, how come you can't? Well, not everyone can. Not everyone can just park your life for the next 10 years and set yourself up for life. You think, why can't you do that opportunity? Well, we're all wired differently, Jared. So that, I'm not making excuses for Jamarra, so please, I'm just spelling it out there that he's a 23-year-old kid who's played 67 games and he can't deal with the requirements of the modern-day game. And that, I don't think that should be a great surprise.
The Bulldogs side of things, I don't think they could have done any more over a long period of time. So they accommodated, I won't say indulged, they accommodated him over a period of time when things weren't as stringent as they might have been. And then probably against the coach's better judgment, as it turned out, he picked him in an elimination final and had the summer of regret on that front. The player then didn't commit to the minimum standards that are required in the setup to a season, so they put in an alternate program to just try to keep him connected where he felt comfortable. And they tried to protect him as much as they could from that. But he would show up sometimes and he wouldn't show up other times. He was uncontactable at times, and then there were moments where they told him, hey, don't be around. They brought him back into the fold to give him a look at it. Can your actions match your words? I thought that was really telling from Luke Beveridge with Jay Clark in the paper on Saturday. But now they have to get on with the business of contending this season. You can't have this being a constant within their walls or without, where every week is a will he or won't he. That you can't waste any more energy on that. It's time to zero in on the here and the now, and this will just have to wait for another time.
No one's criticising the Western Bulldogs in this, I don't think. They've given him a lot of rope. and a lot of leeway probably is a better term, and he hasn't been able to take up that leeway that's been afforded him. And so there does come a time, and others have called for it earlier. Their commitment, and we spoke to Meat Bones last week, it's to Jamarra the person beyond Jamarra the footballer. So there's all components of this. But he hasn't lived up to what they've been able to extend to him. So the time now is totally understandable from their point of view. They've got to get on with the business of what they are doing. And then the other matters will have to be dealt with. I'm not sure how. Does he get paid this year? He's contracted till next year? How do they resolve that sort of thing? So there's plenty to play out from that front, but that has to be done away from the football club, and I totally understand and would concur with the decision.